former representative, Washington State, and joining us back in studio here. Hey, folks, sorry about the delay. Equipment issues, things happen, but we are moving on. Brian, so glad you could join us.
You bet. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. We were talking before the audio debacle. Dinner, man. How was dinner?
Dinner was absolutely spectacular. Anytime you can have goose for dinner, and the rice, and of course the asparagus was good, and the tuna.
Starting off with a little tuna appetizer.
Yeah.
Not too shabby, huh? Yeah, so we like to do it up around here, especially when we have guests join us. And last time we weren't able to do the dinner thing, so we wanted to get it out there tonight. So yes, that's what you're in for when you come join us here in studio, and it's a great start. Now, getting back into the show here, a couple things going on this week, as you are well aware. I mean, we have a lot of activity at legislative session right now. Natural Resources Committee, both the House and Senate, extremely busy this time of year, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. The bills have to be out of the House of Committee of Origin by Tuesday, I think.
Oh, really?
Or early February.
Yeah, early February.
Maybe okay. Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a couple things. So, Tommy and I last week touched on a number of House and Senate bills that would weigh heavy on some of the future decision-making processes here in Washington State as it leans against fishing and hunting and what have you. One that we know for certain is done and dead. Senate Bill 5721, which would have consolidated and put the commission, as we know it, and the directors of WDFW and Parks and Rec and all that, those directors would have been under the oversee of the Lands Commission.
Right.
And currently seated by Hillary Franz. She would have been the overseer of WDFW Commission, which also, and we were pretty aggressive on letting folks know, this would put them into the category of advisors, pretty much handcuffing them of any true decision making, because they're out of the policy writing game at that point, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So I would say collectively in this room, the three of us are glad to see that went down in flames.
Yeah, for sure. That would have caused a dictatorship, without a doubt.
Yes, that would have been a little bit conflicting. So a couple, CCA and well-known lobbyists that we're all familiar with were the only two who spoke in favor of this at the hearing. 47 folks sat and spoke in against of moving this under the overseer of public lands. And then on your right end, you only had 2 pros versus 259 nays. So that's pretty overwhelming. The majority did not want anything to do with moving the commission and directors under the oversee of public lands.
Yeah, and you saw that the chairman and the sponsor of the bill just pull it off the hearing schedule right there at the end of the meeting.
Okay, yep.
And there's another one that's come up, which is the Lorraine-Loomis Act, House Bill 1828.
38.
This one was brought forward by Washington State Representative Deborah Lehmkhul, and she brought it forward, and now she's saying it's not going to pass, right? And she's saying, hey, we need more work with the tribes, more work with the farmers, and also the fishing industry. And really, this is a habitat restoration bill, right?
Yeah.
And a couple things is this is a statewide impacting bill proposal, and basically, if you live along the water, you would, if passed, you would be subject to this bill where, the state could come in and then say, hey, your habitat that you have along your shoreline is detrimental to the salmon. You need to fix that now. And oh, by the way, if you don't fix that, I'm going to fine you, and I can fine you up to $10,000 a day. What do you know about this one?
Yeah, I think it was, the issue is a good one.
I agree.
I think we all believe in improving habitat. I mean, we're a little late to the game on some of these things, and now we have 7.5 million people in the state.
Right.
And folks are building in ways that impact habitat. And so it's the right issue. I think the construction of the bill was doomed to failure, and I think a more collaborative process will bringing people to the table.
Yeah.
And I think folks were kind of surprised at the last minute at the bill, and it did not go well.
Yeah.
And but the issue is valid, and I think myself, historically, the timber industry stepped up with Timber Fish and Wildlife back in '99, and said, we are going to go hand in hand with the tribes and fix the management of timber and streams and very collaborative process, and that process is still ongoing. They meet all throughout the year and are still working to that. Downstream, though, I mean, if you go out there and look at the stream crossings, and this fall, they finished the RMAP projects, the road maintenance and abandonment planning projects.
Okay.
All the ones that were proposed are done. Now that doesn't mean we're done.
There's more
as
to
a
do.
timber industry. There's more work to be. But
Sure.
if you drive in the woods, the culverts are fixed, bridges are installed, runoff is run onto the forest floor generally, and so they're right that the next fix is downstream. I would argue that the greater need is at the mouth of these rivers and the estuaries where cities are located. You know, you've got Seattle where they literally washed the hill down into the bay and filled the bay, which was all salmon habitat. And so there's work to be done. This bill was not ready for prime time. Hopefully it prompts discussions and folks find a path forward. And,
I think there's definitely an opportunity here. I mean, I think what people really want to know is like, well, how do you prioritize the greatest need, right? Where are you going to fix habitat first? You know, how much is that going to cost, right? We saw, you know, Inslee brought forth a proposal for $187 million, you know, salmon bill, and part of that was, a lot of it actually, most of it was habitat reconstruction. But how do you manage that? How do you approach that? I think there's a lot of details that have to be worked out before it can be agreed to.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of catch up to do here, as I think you kind of alluded to there, Brian. I mean, we have a lot of these lower parts of our, you know, watered areas, previous estuary areas that were dike, dammed, reconfigured, turned into farmland because of the nutrient base. I mean, very fertile ground for farmland. We've seen some of that go away. I know we saw that a number of years ago on the Nisqually Delta. Blew out the dikes, reclaimed a lot of that, 470, 500 acres or so, just shy of, are now reflooded estuary waters for habitat, rearing of salmon, and forage fish and everything else. And you can see that when the tide comes in and goes out, you see we have much more water up close to I-5 than we ever did previously. When I was a kid growing up, that water was way out there due to the dikes, right?
Absolutely, and it's interesting, you know, so this was a statewide bill a couple years ago when we were talking about a hydraulic permit application program and bulkheads. There was a number, it was 25% of the Puget Sound shoreline is either got bulkheads or armoring.
The hardening of the shoreline.
And of course I had to ask, you know, I live out on the coast, so well, what percentage of the coast is hard armored? And they said, it's minuscule. And so, you know, maybe these policies need to be targeted where we've got some big problems.
Specific areas.
And
we've done the damage, you know, for years, right? So now we're trying to play catch up, and it's a long, tedious process, and there's way more hands involved now. You talk about developers and farmland and just, you know, urban sprawl and all these things that impact the reclaiming of habitat. It's hard to reclaim habitat when we keep destroying habitat at the same time or faster than. So they're heading in the right direction on this bill. I think it's great. They're gonna name it the Lorraine Loomis Act. I mean, everything she stood for in habitat.
Yeah, what a wonderful woman.
Yeah, they're 100% spot on, and rightfully so. She deserves credit for all her years of hard negotiations and where she drew the line, right? But you're right. They got to find balance in this thing, and I think you said it best. Is we need to bring the people along. And to Tommy's point, you can't just go either do it or you're getting fined $10,000. It's like, help me help you to get there. It's like if you're telling me I got to plant this many trees, then help me find a way to do that financially or what have you. Let's figure this out, because I'm all for habitat restoration, but not at the cost of me having to basically sell my farm. So we got to find balance there. So moving along. So obviously it's no news to anybody in this room, and for a lot of you folks out there, if you've been following along, Governor Inslee did in fact appoint 3 new commissioners to the commission this last week. Again, those are appointees yet to be confirmed at some point by our senators.
Or not.
Or not, correct. We've seen that play out as well. We still have, Lorna Smith is not confirmed. She's been, it's right about a year, I believe, on her appointment.
Yeah, and I don't think Jim Anderson.
Yeah, I don't think Jim Anderson is confirmed.
There's 5 unconfirmed commissioners at this point in history.
Yeah, that's almost historical. We'll get into some of these timetables here in a little bit, but moving forward, we have 3 persons whose names come up, and us as laypersons looking into this thing, trying to go, well, who are these people? Are they good for hunting and fishing? Do they care about the environment? You start reading their resumes, and they are very educated people. There's no doubt about it. And for those that are walking or toting the line to say, this has to be all about science, the only way we're going to recover any of this is based on science. Okay, well, science does play a part. But we've seen how this goes too. On the other side, when they push really hard for a particular agenda, Tommy, or a certain base of persons you're trying to appease, it's starting to get real political.
Yeah.
I mean, more than we've seen in the past.
Yeah. Well, not only that, and then you've got this, lack of confirmed appointments, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, the way it's all constructed now, I can hold it against your head. Yeah, I will appoint you to this position on the commission, but I could very well come back and say, oh, I really don't feel like appointing you, right?
Right.
And, as you pointed out, Brian, I think you said, by law, the commissioners are supposed to be appointed, shall be appointed within that 60-day period. But as you pointed out, there's just no consequence if these people are not confirmed within that period of time.
Well, not confirmed, just appointed.
Just appointed.
Okay.
So there's one person in charge of appointing persons to the commission, correct?
Right.
The governor. And like I said, we'll get into those timelines, but Tommy's right. It's like there's no penalty for not abiding by the 60-day rule that is recognized in how this process moves forward. Yeah. There's been a lot of foot dragging in this whole thing, and then we're throwing some names at it and throwing some people at it. Let's face it, hasn't exactly worked out to the best interest of all groups involved. So let's just kind of walk through this here. Tim Ragen, retired scientist, resides in Anacortes and served as an executive director for the Marine Mammal Commission. Now let's face it, when I start reading through the resumes on these people, and that's one of the things that hits me in the face, first thing I start going is, look, we got a serious pinniped problem in this state. Right? We have an overpopulation of a number of different species of pinniped, and we're not doing a whole lot about it. Yeah, we're calling a few sea lions. We're taking a few stellars out here and there. We already proved the result at the Willamette Falls when they culled 33 sea lions, and they saw a tremendous rebound of wild steelhead stocks within a year. 18-month turnaround, you're talking 827 fish to 3,300. I'm spitballing some numbers here, but it's in that range, right? And that was simply the removal of 33 sea lions at the Willamette Falls, which is a man-made barrier, our process of getting those fish up there. And look at the positive effect it had. So I read this, I see Tim Ragen, I start reading up on him, and Marine Mammal Commission. Doctoral degree, again, these folks are highly educated. He has dedicated both his career and life to conservation of marine species such as stellar sea lions and the southern resident killer whale. Yeah. Now, one side of my head says, okay, I'm grinding my teeth because he sounds like he's pro-advocate on these sea lion populations. Mm-hmm. And the other side, he wants to save the killer whales, which to me sounds like he wants to make sure they get enough food.
Right.
I did a little digging on these folks, Tommy. I wanted to find out what they're about. I did find a thing in here which says, interestingly enough, Ragen supports the cull of seals and sea lions as a drastic measure. We'll come back on that word. Yeah. And to save decreasing Chinook stocks, and also then he's a strong advocate for saving the killer whales. So Tommy and I read through that, Brian, and it's like, he supports the cull of seals and sea lions as a drastic measure. If he just removed drastic, if he would just support culling of the pinnipeds where it's warranted, mm-hmm. and then the other side of him is all about saving the orca, I think we got somebody that, as far as the fishery side of things, mm-hmm. is probably beneficial for the recreational and commercial ventures.
Yeah. I mean, I've read all their resumes. Everybody starts at even with me. I'm going to be hopeful that Mr. Ragen will be a productive commissioner and help move this agency forward. I saw the same information you did about his willingness to consider management of one species of marine mammal to help another.
Right.
That leads me to be hopeful.
Yeah.
I've also heard that when he was in charge of writing a biop for the stellar sea lion in the North Pacific, that his biop proposed shutting down all federal fisheries, period, in the North Pacific. And a certain senator from Alaska pulled rank, and he was removed from writing the biop.
Oh, interesting.
And transferred to another job.
Oh, that sounds like it got to an upper level.
As a younger professional,
Yeah.
There's stories out there that he was pretty over the top. So that said, everybody gets a chance to perform in Brian Blake's world, and we'll see. If the chairman calls them up, has a hearing, whether the committee acts on that or they let him ride for a year and come back next year and make a decision after they've seen how he performs.
Sure.
And the other commissioners.
Yeah.
Speaking of a chance to perform, they're going to get a chance here pretty soon because that black bear hunt is coming back up for a vote.
Yeah.
So we're going to know pretty soon. The other thing is, when I look at Tim Ragen's resume, right, I think to myself, we've got a huge salmon production issue, right?
Yeah.
Huge hatchery problem. And I tell you what, if I've got an electrical problem in my house, right, I don't go call the tree guy to knock down a couple cottonwoods in my front yard, right? That's not going to help me. If anything, if the tree falls on my house, it's going to make it worse.
Sure.
And so I look at this and I look at his background in, pinnipeds, sea lions, and seals, which we know today are already overpopulated. The seal population in the Sound is over 2.5 times what the Puget Sound can support already.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
How this kind of smells like to me, we have an elk and deer population problem. We're going to get 2 predator experts, Lorna Smith and Fred Kuntz, and we're going to bring them in because they've got a lot of zoology experience
To protect the predators?
to go help this problem. So I'm going to be watching closely. In particular, Tim Ragen to see how this comes out.
Yeah. And where he draws the hard line. And as you alluded to, Brian, is he going to make the call in support of when it's time to eliminate, exterminate, remove some of these problematic, manage kinder, gentler terms, right? Manage some of these problematic pinnipeds. I guess we will see. So who else we got there, Tommy?
So John Lehmkhul, and I when I read his resume, he seems kind of the most promising of the 3 that were recently appointed. But he's a former research wildlife biologist, resident of Wenatchee. He's got also pretty hefty stack of education here. Bachelor's degree in wildlife biology, master's in wildlife ecology, and a doctoral degree in forest science from the UW. We won't hold that against him because my wife's a cougar, but I will say that
she's not nearly old enough to be a cougar.
No, not that kind of cougar.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, keep your head out of the gutter.
Sorry.
But for me personally, it's not about your education.
Right.
It is about your experience. Okay.
Yeah.
What you have attained as a professional in your career is more important to me than what you studied in school. And so, to me, having him be a former research wildlife biologist, and then for him to come out and say explicitly he's a lifelong hunter and angler, that goes a lot further with me than any degree that you're going to get, from the UW or any other university of credit. And so he's made the statement that he believes in sound scientific management of fish and wildlife in Washington. I think they're all kind of saying that at this point, but looking at his background and self-proclaimed hunter and fisher, I think he's got my support from the beginning, but I'll be watching him as well.
Yeah, we've been advocating to try and, let's land some of those who partake in either fishing and hunting and or both, and, give the recreational community a little bit of a nod to say, hey, we got your back. We're gonna work collectively on this stuff that in the long run we want to make sure we're providing an opportunity whereby it's within the matrix to give you opportunity to go out and harvest and enjoy, right?
Yeah. So folks that I know have had a professional relationship with Mr. Lehmkhul, and they speak highly of him.
Good.
And so, you know, performance will be measured, and we'll see how they vote and advocate, and I'm hopeful.
So then that leads us to Melanie Rowland. She's a resident of TWISP, was an attorney at the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. So I mean, we're pulling some players here from some entities of high regard, and those that have a lot of say in some of the way things go here in Washington State relative to our fisheries. And she's got an extensive resume as well, and she's currently busy as senior counsel of the Wilderness Society over there on the east side. And she, you know, I'd have to take a half an hour to read through all her accomplishments and accolades, but she has also served on the Seattle, Audubon, Washington Environmental Council, Foundation of Environment, and Pacific Biodiversity. We hear this term a lot anymore, Brian, biodiversity. We get inundated with diversity and inclusion and everything in society now. You know, you turn the news on all day long, it's about diversity and inclusion. Okay, great, that's what society is now, right? Yeah. And then in our management, we're constantly inundated now with biodiversity. Look, I get it, biodiversity is important, whereby we've recognized the failures of taking Green River Chinook salmon strain and seeding all Puget Sound rivers with that one strain of Chinook, and we've realized after 40 years, 35 years, 40 years, how horrible of an idea that was. Yeah. And the problems it has created. To the point where we had David Trout in studio here, and we were talking about them recognizing that there is no genetic link, talk about biodiversity, there's no genetic link currently of the strain of Chinook salmon in the Nisqually River that would replicate or even resemble anything that previously was a true natural, biological natural spawning fish in that system.
Wow.
So they've altered the gene pool enough that they have this standalone that they recognize as now Nisqually strain, although it's truly genetically from Green River stock, which has proven to be an inferior fish in how it turns color in the salt. You know, the table fare on it is mediocre at best. It doesn't have really good genes for high fat content. They're having discussions of, do we need to just swap out entirely the strain of fish that we're utilizing in this environment, put in a far superior genetic strength-wise, you know, survivability-wise, high fat content, more of a spring Chinook type of a fish.
Yeah.
It's all based on run timing of when these smolt out and release for them to return. So they could take a superior genetic line of fish that they're looking at, focusing in on, and put it in a Nisqually and just change it, right, for the betterment. And then you look at that and go, this is now the recognized genetic strain, the bio strain, the biodiversity we're going to utilize in this system, and this is what we are going to really work hard to bring back. So I get it. It's just the flags kind of go up when, you know.
Yeah, that's a lack of diversity, though. Hold on a second.
That's a lack of diversity.
That's a lack of diversity. If I take the same strain and I put it in every single river, that is just a lack of diversity.
Historically,
right?
we've screwed it up.
Yep.
So biodiversity is important, right?
Yep.
We need to recognize where we're at now and genetic strains and whatnot. But how come is when the Centers for Biological Diversity weigh in on all these different things, they always seem to be kind of on the other side of things. I read articles where they state the Centers for Biological Diversity, you know, now they want to do this. They have 1.7 million persons that are associated with this group, and they just never seem to be on par with the direction we want to see some things go, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think they're based out of Arizona.
I think they are,
if I'm not mistaken, and they reared their head on a couple things, you know, the orca stuff, and I believe even some of the wolf stuff. You know, they're weighing in on this. And I'm like, why is this group down in Arizona weighing in on how we're managing our wolves on the east side of the state here? So
yeah, but I don't think they're weighing in on how we restore mountain caribou in eastern Washington.
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
what do you know about Melanie? Anything?
Just pretty much what you wrote there. She's a wild card. I don't know. I know she's well connected within the community in the greater King County area.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And then members of her family are active in some groups, is what I've heard, but I don't know any more information on that. And again, I'm going to clean slate. She's a new commissioner, and I'm going to wait to see how she performs.
Mm-hmm. And so in that spotlight, so we have, that's the process that's in place currently, and hopefully we stay there. Appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate within a year's time. So they have that. They're basically on probation.
Well, there's no limit on that. They can
confirm them right away, couldn't they?
They could confirm them right away, or they could never confirm them.
Right.
So some commissioners have served 8-9 years without ever being confirmed.
Why would the Senate do that?
Sometimes they didn't have the votes to not confirm them or confirm them, and so they're just stuck.
Yeah. But isn't it written in there if within a 1 year's time, or is that the new language?
That's the proposal in a bill.
That was the new language in the bill proposal under yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Jesse Solomon Bandweg bill.
Yeah. If not confirmed in a year, then to be replaced or replaced by the governor.
And I don't like the structure of that either.
Okay.
I think that so they saw the hearing on those two bills. Honeyford's bill said if the governor doesn't fill a slot within 60 days, there was consequences. The legislature, the four corners, would fill that seat.
Okay.
I kind of like that bill.
Yeah.
There's some pressure to on the governor's office to fill seats. Allowing a chairman of a committee, and I was a chairman of a committee, and it's nice to have power, but allowing a single chairman to then have that ability to confirm or not confirm sets up another bad dynamic, in my opinion.
Yep.
And so that proposal, I'm not a fan of.
Well, before we get out of here, we would be remiss here if we didn't mention the fact that House Bill 2027 was introduced, which now lawmakers are mulling over the creation of a task force to come up with a new WDFW governance option, study, tweaking, or ditching the commission, and review both bodies moving forward. So in other words, here we are talking about the new appointees to the commission and whether or not they will be confirmed at some point, and we're going to sit back and kind of take posture and see how they perform. And Tommy had mentioned a little bit ago, we got this bear vote coming up again in March. They're going to have to revisit this thing, right? Relying on WDFW to provide sound science that they can support the fact that we should move forward with a spring bear hunt. We should not disallow it. And so I'm looking at this commission now, finally, of 9 seats filled. And I'm kind of going, well, I think we're going to land at a 5-4 in favor of. And I say that because I think out of John, we have a person who will probably stand by that. We already know we have 4 secure votes that were there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to hold to the positive side and think we may land at a 5-4. Tommy, what do you think on that?
I agree.
On the spring bear?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see. But what I took away from this new bill that was constructed here in did you say you
I watched the hearing.
You watched the hearing on this one?
Absolutely.
Weigh in on this a little bit.
Yeah, I think I didn't like the tone of the bill because I think that the way the bill was written, it assumes that the current structure is not is the problem.
Right.
I don't think the current structure is the problem.
I would agree.
I think the voters got it right when they created and passed referendum 45, I believe it was 95.
Yeah, and 95, yes.
Because I think
to create the commission.
Yeah, to create the commission in its current form. And so my gut tells me it's still the best form of governance for an agency like this, who is, it's always conflict. Every day, these, we can badmouth Fish and Wildlife, but they go to work every day facing conflict.
Sure.
Just within elk hunting, the bow hunters against the muzzleloaders, against the, and then you add the Stevens treaties and the commercial versus sport, and it's an agency full of conflict, and I think isolating it from politics a little bit. When I was in the legislature, you never saw me testify in front of the Fish and Wildlife Commission because I took that seriously, that the voters wanted some separation between legislators and the commission.
Interesting.
Other legislators were right there, some of them bad-mouthing me in front of the commission.
But you drew the line. You were like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and I just didn't, I thought it was important that the legislature, did I talk to individual commissioners from time to time? Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
And and I think you'll find if you talk to them that I never pressured them to do one thing or the other. And I think, so I'm starting from, this is the right form of governance, but we've got to impress upon our executive branch to put good people in there, open-minded people of substance that can weigh input from the public, the law, the mission of the agency, and make sound decisions, and not inject politics into the decisions of the commission. And so, that said, I think 2027 you will see that probably the bill won't pass, but they'll put something in the back of the budget in a proviso saying, the four corners, the Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate are going to meet during the off year and invite testimony. Under the bill, it's like, okay, we got to have a representative from this group and that group on this.
Yeah, they want a panel of 15 persons to weigh in.
Isn't that a joke? I mean, you got 9 commission seats, right? You're going to have 15, judge 9.
Yeah, they want to have, so, and as you said, you were there. A couple takeaways when I read through this whole thing, and I read it twice because I wanted to try and wrap my head around this thing. They want to bring together a panel of 15 to review the current commission in how it functions. Is it beneficial? Is it doing the work that it was intended to do? Is it serving the citizens of the state? All those things, right? So they want to bring this panel together of 15 legislators, hunters, fishers, gatherers, whatever, a broad spectrum, and they're gonna finalize that and have a report, which basically would be, in their opinion, do we continue to move forward with the commission in its current makeup, or do we dissolve it and come up with some other, dream team or whatever? As you had said, the process has been working. And I think we were talking before the show, I'm thinking back 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have this turmoil within the Commission of Fish and Wildlife. We had issues that they were trying to resolve. We've always had issues. We always are trying to make sure we have more fish to go after, and sporties and commercials and everybody get along, kumbaya, and hey, let's work for the better, the good. But we didn't have this delay in appointments from a seated governor. We didn't have those who were appointed be so questionable in what their personal agenda is, which is conflicting with the other persons who are currently sitting on the commission. We have a lot of this internal turmoil going, and so as you look at this unfolding and all the indecision and the headbutting that goes on in these Zoom meetings, and again, because of COVID and Zoom, we have more recreational folks with eyes on these meetings than we've ever had.
Yeah.
So people are truly getting a sense of what goes on at these meetings, and they're just like, oh my gosh, what is the deal? Ron Garner said it best. He was quoted say, the commission does work. It does its job. The framework has not been broken. What's been broken is the implementation and lack of commissioners. And he's right, because you can dig it up, and it was posted in the article, 451 days is the number of days Larry Carpenter sat as chair on the commission past his term expiring.
Yeah.
And Governor Inslee left him there. And then 389 days. Tommy and I were talking a couple weeks ago. We're like, how long has it been since that east side seat was vacant? It was Dave's seat. And I go, man, I think it's over a year. It was 389 days with no consequences. Nobody leveraged into the, hey, Governor, are you going to appoint somebody? I mean, I'm sure they were saying it, but there's no pressure, right? And then we had another 39 days, 40 days for the at-large position. So collectively, we're talking, a good amount of days of vacancies. Then the persons that are being appointed. Perhaps, Kuntz left because he was like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
He had no idea what he's getting into.
And doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't that tell you that this, proposed panel of 15 people, they shouldn't be meddling with the affairs of the commission. They should be looking at the criteria process for those that are actually appointed to the commission.
That's a very good point.
To make sure that they are qualified to meet the mission statement of the commission, right?
Yeah.
Vet the people that are coming in so you know that they're qualified and they can do the job once they're in the commission. Don't sit there and try to judge them once they're in, right, and put a political thumb on top of them and say, oh, no, hey, wrong decision there, and have this like subjective criteria.
I don't think that was what the bill author's intent was. I think he had a bill written to address the issue, and it's an imperfect bill. And I say that as somebody who introduced a whole bunch of imperfect bills.
You understand an imperfect bill or two, huh?
And I think they recognize, from what I'm hearing, they recognize that because if you put 15 on there, every group says, no, I want another person from my issue to be on there. And let's keep it, have the four corners, and take testimony from any group that wants to provide input.
Right.
And I think it's fair. The voters did this in '95. I think it's fair for the legislature to say, let's take a look at this. Let's see if this is the best system, or if there's a better system out there, and we'll come back with recommendations.
Sure.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Well, it is interesting to look at who supported the bill as well. So CCA now popping up twice on the list tonight. First with the Senate Bill 5721 to consolidate natural resource management under the Commissioner of Public Lands, i.e. the dictatorship under Hillary Franz, right? That was the first one. There was two pros for and 259 against that one. And here they are again supporting this one as well. Trout Unlimited, add to that, as well as NSIA. So it kind of tells me all I need to know in terms of this. This bill should not be supported. Yeah.
I think there's other ways to go about it.
In its current form.
In its current form. Accountability is good, but I think first we need to pull back and get some accountability going. One, on the person who is supposed to be appointing persons to the seats, not allow for hundreds and hundreds of days of vacancies to be acceptable. Two, that these persons are a little more vetted from more than an individual or whatever that small collective group is, or whoever's out recruiting on said individuals, and really make sure that they are open-minded, as you said, and here for the betterment of everybody, not just select groups that they're trying to appease.
Right.
And that's where we're running into a problem, right? So if we fix that, I think we'll get back to persons on the commission are there to do good for everybody and have an open-minded approach, that umbrella approach you spoke of a few weeks ago, and take into account that, being a commissioner on the Fish and Wildlife Commission isn't just about pinnipeds. It's not just about, I'm going to do everything I can to save the orcas. It's not about, hey, let's make sure we, harvest our timber at a reasonable pace. It's all of it. It's all encompassing.
Yeah. Another problem I saw in the bill is I think it specifically mentioned revisiting the mission statement of the agency.
Yeah.
I think the mission statement of the agency is fine.
Sure, I do too.
And I get a little nervous when they talk about revisiting that, and because given the campaign that group from out-of-state group and Center for Biological Diversity have come in and are actively saying we need to change the mission of the agency, makes me nervous.
Yep. All right, well, enough commission talk. We're going to wait and see where this goes. I think the next thing that'll be on the docket for everybody to pay attention to, Tommy, and we'll have eyes on it for sure, March commission meeting when they bring that spring bear vote up. It's really going to show the hand where some of these folks lie.
Yep.
It's kind of the first hurdle to get through, and we got some time to see where they're going to kind of, where their allegiance lies, so to speak, moving forward. So, all right, we're going to jump out for a quick break. Time to get back to some fishing and watching some fishing. Took a little trip recently down to the Oregon coast. Jumped in with our buddy Kyle Bushelman, Willamette Valley Outfitters, and had a fantastic day in the water. So we want to bring that to you in a premiere of that video. Don't go anywhere. A couple-minute break. We'll be back with Kyle Bushelman on the Oregon coast, going after broodstock steelhead right here, Fish on Northwest.
A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water.
End of Watch Ride to Remember is a group from the state of Washington traveling across the country to honor fallen officers from 2019. End of Watch organizer Jagrut Shah says they want to show departments who've lost partners and friends they are not alone.
I wanted to bridge this gap that we have and bring back to the department, let the deputies or the officers know that their lost has not been forgotten.
In 2019, 146 officers were killed in the line of duty, and End of Watch Ride to Remember is on a mission to pay their respects to each of them.
For us, it's just important realizing that the men and women in blue everywhere should remember that they haven't been forgotten. We're not forgetting them. We want the families to know that their loved ones have not been forgotten.
Oh, nice. There we go. Woo-hoo. Oh, you know what? I gotta make sure I don't forget my sunglasses. It might actually be sunny today. Hey, good morning, everybody. We are here, just got the coffee. It's early. We are going to meet up with our buddy Kyle Bushelman of Willamette Valley Outfitters, and looking forward to a great day out here on the Oregon coast, going after some steelhead. Now we're going to be fishing, ideally if we can capture a couple decent size mid-teener fish for the Broodstock program. That's one objective. And two, we got quite a few hatchery fish in the river, it sounds like, and so Dan and I might be able to take some fish home. So we'll see how it goes, but let's go catch up with Kyle, get this day going. Man, here we are. Made the drive once again. This has become like an annual thing for me.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, it's worth the drive.
100%, man.
Fish here.
So, we kind of mentioned earlier, we're out here today at Coastal River, Oregon, that I always come down and fish with you once or twice a year, what have you. The plan today, if we can pull it off, is to get a decent, mid-teener for that Broodstock program.
Yeah.
And then you got a bunch of hatchery fish in the river too.
Yeah, we have a lot of hatchery as of late, which is a good sign. It says that our Broodstock program is working.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of pressure on the river. Yesterday there was a little bit more pressure than I liked, and it made the bite a little tougher. We got a few fish, but not where I thought we should be. This morning, making the game plan, kind of see where everybody else goes, and we made a complete change from.
Right.
Generally speaking, when you look at a river gauge, you kind of go down with the river when it drops. We came up.
Mm-hmm.
The fish didn't disappear. It just means the holes that we have today are going to be a little less, and we'll have to just grind it out. But one boat going through a hole with steelhead better than 6 or 7.
I agree.
So I'm hoping that the guide knowledge helps today.
Well, having been on this stretch of river in the past, I kind of know what we're in for. Got a couple little drop-ins on some little shoots here. Water levels dropping, as you said. The work's on you, man. Plus, you run that motor all day long.
Yeah.
So we're going to be in for kind of a wild ride. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We're with Kyle Bushelman, the Willamette Valley Outfitters here on the coast of Oregon. We're going after steelhead. Stay tuned. Might get a little wet. There's number one. There you go.
Okay, we'll push to the pipe.
Like good speed, presentation. Yeah. Oh. I was dinking around and
Well, that thing hit soft, didn't it?
it sure did, but it eventually it
Go ahead and get it.
connected up on it.
Right on that rock ledge too.
Yeah, it was right down the middle. I'm thinking, gosh, you know, there's been no pressure. Them fish ought to just be laying out here in that soft edge.
Yeah.
And sure
When we
enough,
have low light, they'll do it.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good start, huh?
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's on the Army.
Sweet.
Or it wrapped up a bit.
Yeah.
No, it went after the Army with the scent.
Good.
Check that out, pal. Went after the Army with the scent. This has a little more color than some of the pictures I saw you posting of them really chrome bright ones, right?
That fin right there.
Is that a little tiny fin?
That is a nub fin. This
That is a nub fin. That's a hatchery. There we go.
Yeah. See?
Yep.
That's a hatchery steelhead right there.
There you go. Look at
Here,
that.
bud.
Went after that little yarny.
Look at that. It should be right in the back. That's what I thought.
Beads work, but I tell you what, how many over the years, how many fish have I caught in these little?
Probably more.
I mean,
We've been
seriously.
doing
Right?
beads for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I like to fish a
I
little.
hate to say it, it's been more like 10 times
Yeah,
flying. But.
exactly. But yeah, it's nice to get one on that thing because it just works so
And
darn
you
good.
get those at the store, don't you? Yeah, those.
This is
little
that.
deals.
This is that little manufactured puffball I get at the craft store. Perfect. There we go. First one. Heck yes.
Yeah, I can respect a man like that.
Good job, Brandon. Nice little hatchery fish. Look at that guy, huh?
Chub.
Yeah. There you go, buddy. That's a coho, bro. That's a decent fish.
It's got a snout like a coho. It is.
It is a coho.
Let's go ahead and get over here.
It's a wild coho. That is a coho. What's the deal on those, Todd?
Can't keep them, gotta let them go. But God, that's another testament or fishery that
mid-January.
Guys, I'm gonna hurry over here.
It's a nice fish too. That thing's bright. Heck, I thought it was a hatchery steelhead when it was just underwater.
On a log at the
Yes,
salmon.
sure did.
He's a little tired.
Yeah.
Nice, done getting. We will fish to the left, see that top two. Okay, almost ready, guys. There you go. Just stay forward. Get us going here. Off the course. foot rods away.
As soon as I pick up the coffee cup.
It's a bright one.
Ah, it's a real bright fish, Kyle.
This is good.
Just pick up the doggone coffee cup. I'm like, while we're down, set the float, or set the rod, or coffee cup down, and try to catch up to that fish. It was breaking water by the time. I grabbed the bead, not the yarny. So just right on the hook. Nice good fish, Kyle. There you go. Come over top, buddy. See that on us?
It's only 6 pounds.
I know. It's a really light rod. Playing around with it. There we go, Kyle. That's a great fish. Try to turn its head, buddy. There you go. Oh, lift.
Right your back him up.
There you go.
And he's a wild fish.
Is it really? How it all comes together today, Brandon, is you cast, you reel up your slack, you pick up the coffee cup, take a drink, watch your float go down, stumble around and try to find the cup holder, get the coffee cup set back in, right, so we're not making a mess, and then we...
it's also, it tells you a lot about us setting too hard on a fish.
Yeah.
You really just need to come up tight.
Just right along.
And then other times you do it all right and they still come off, so there's that. I'm ready. Brandon, fix your...
Finally, a little sunshine. Warm the water.
You should have caught a fish there. That's 2 eggs.
Oh, you got the little egg cluster on.
Yeah.
You think you just put that on?
The wild fish.
Shush. Is it really?
Yeah.
Dang it.
It's all right. This one we can put in the broodstock.
You think?
Let's see. Ready?
About the same size as that other one we got.
We're just going to take our time, okay? Turn your side. Get me out of the front.
You're all right. You're all right.
Right there.
There we go. Nice
Picture
fish.
worthy. It is a good fish.
Nice fish.
I'll take it. You need to stop anyway. We're going to just slide over this way, and then we'll fish to the left here in just a second. That's right.
It is a nice bright fish. Under the boat.
Mine all.
Yeah. Is that like a peach or an orange feed, Dan?
It is, yeah, kind of a peachy.
That is
Nice fish.
keeper.
Nice.
Well done, man. Way to save the day. Nice job.
Kyle, what are you doing?
I'm getting a bigger bead on.
Why are you getting a bigger bead on?
Well, today our fish seem consistently to be biting bigger objects.
You've been fishing a lot of double beads.
Yeah.
And varying the colors and presentation, right?
Right.
But you've been fishing, what, 12s, 14s?
12s and 14s, and I've even had 12s and 10s today.
Yeah.
But our fish are coming on bigger beads. We got them on a 16.
Yeah.
We got them on the egg cluster, which is about a 16.
Yeah.
And we've got them on 2 big yarn balls, which are about 18s and 20s,
Probably.
theoretically.
Yeah.
I haven't got bit on, none of the small beads really have accounted for a fish yet, which is really odd with the color, but we'll give them what the fish want. And they want bigger beads today. So I'm up and I just put a 16
Yeah.
hyper blue on here. This should fish. And I'm gonna do a 16 and a 14 now.
Look, you just kind of mentioned, I mean, the water color and clarity is getting better.
Yeah.
And typically you scale down.
Yeah.
Today we're putting a bigger profile out there and they're grabbing it. So all our fish have come on a bigger profile today versus what you experienced previously during the week when the water had more color. So who knows, right?
Yeah, so we're adjusting. That's the nice thing about having all sorts of sizes. You know, we can we just have to adjust. So, and it's working. I mean, we're filling up the kill bag. So
Yep.
that's good.
Let's run back up and do it again.
Yeah,
huh?
for sure. Gas.
I mean, that thing disappeared instantly. Oh, nice.
There we go. Woo-hoo. Out of the motor.
Down to that motor. That's a hot little fish.
Oh, well, we gotta worry about getting the fish.
That's a hot little fish right there. He might be on my Yarny again. I thought he took the bead. He's on my stand. Oh, he is. It's 2 today, Colin. That. Here you go, buddy. Keeper. There's a reason I'm fishing the Senate Yarny. Beads are cool.
Everything we've ever learned about beads is out the window.
Just get rid of them, right? No, for fishing a double rig, it's like fish 2 beads or separate the option. Go with a Yarny with some scent, fish a naked bead.
You know, I've also seen on these colder days the bait bite kind of picks up. It's kind of you key in a little differently. That's 2 in a row. That's a pattern.
Right.
Rather than
Yes. Interestingly enough, though, that first fish, that bobber just kind of slowly went down. This one, it just absolutely ripped sideways and was gone. So, looks like a decent little hatchery buck, huh, Kyle?
average size. This has been the typical steelhead this year, so we'll take them. I'm not picky.
Hatchery fish all day long.
Absolutely.
Well, buddy.
Yeah.
Another successful outing down here on the coast of Oregon. You know, we were talking the last couple weeks. Fishing was pretty doggone good. Lots of hatchery fish.
Lots of
First week of January, getting into the second week of January. We had set our sights on mid-January, I don't know, a month ago or so, right? Get our annual trip in, and gosh, it's like you said yesterday, you had a lot more pressure.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of boats on in the same areas, and it made it a little tougher to find the fish. We got a couple, but it wasn't what it could have been.
So we went up where I have fished with you up top there before, and come down. And I mean, gosh, you know, we had to kind of hunt and peck, but we ended up with 4 hatchery fish in the bag, a couple wilds released. Brandon got a coho this morning. That's kind of crazy. But how would you summarize the day overall?
I think it was a grind. I mean, but at the end of the day, we kind of picked them apart, you know, here and there, and it was being flexible.
Right.
You know, one of the things that happens a lot, we get stuck with using the same thing over and over again, and we moved it around. If it wasn't for switching to a couple yarnies, we would have lost a couple fish. We upped the size when everything tells us to go smaller.
Go smaller,
and that was the benefit to having multiple rods. We could experiment a little bit and key in on some bites, and it helped. I mean, we picked up some at the end of the day, and it made it a, you know, at the end we produced.
Yeah, this is one of those classic rivers where it's long stretches, you know, conducive to bobber dogging. And again, down here we can use a dual rig, which is beneficial. Sometimes you get them on that top rig. I think I got all my fish on my top rig.
Yeah, and I know we ran a single rig today a lot of the time. That got fish too.
They got fish too, but you know, it's just not a lot of pocket water, bouldery pocket stuff where you can, like, I mean, I did fish a jig a little bit, but really, you know, when other rigs in the boat are dragon led and you're trying to fish a jig.
You almost got to designate, you got to
go either or, right?
Either or. If you're going to do jigs, then you fish that type of water, and then you can do that. And you know, in a couple more, this river's on a steep drop. I would say in a couple more days, the jig game, where you're anchoring up on some runs, would produce.
I didn't look at the coming weather down here. I know up home in the next couple 3 weeks potentially we got little to no rain coming, so our rivers are going to be on the drop big time, and the temperatures are going to get colder, and this thing's just going to bottom out. So
this thing will get low and it will get really competitive. We'll all be down here, and but the fishing's great still. I mean, if we're putting 4 fish in the box a day, and we're working for that. That's pretty good. I mean, there's days we have not caught fish, and so I'll take 4 fish in the box, but you know, it changes quick. So we do need another rain. Once we get it, we'll get some fresh fish. So.
It's interesting, like a couple of the fish we picked up earlier in the day. Well, the wild fish were extremely bright. A couple of the hatchery fish had a little color to them. Later on in the day, we got lower in the system. A couple of the hatchery fish were a little brighter, right? So we're not that far from the ocean. Depending where we're at on this river, we're 15 to 20 miles from the ocean.
Yeah,
right?
we're about 20 right now.
Okay.
23, 24 miles.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know, successful by all accounts, and put some time in on the water. Unlike last year, we didn't get one for the Broodstock program this year. There's a couple fish in the tank though. That's kind of cool that somebody picked up a few. So
we had you know, that was just the thing too. We didn't just put fish in it to put fish in it. We could
selective.
We selected, and our fish didn't have the size we wanted, and we let them go, which is fine. We have a lot of guides contributing. Yeah. So there's a selection process there, and maybe next week we'll get some good ones.
Yeah. So for those of you that are looking for or trying to get some winter steelhead fishing in, you know, if you're up there in Washington, we're kind of limited this year. Get a hold of Kyle, Willamette Valley Outfitters.
We have decent fish, and we're catching them.
It's fantastic. I love coming down here. It's just great to get out, and you're actually able to fish from the boat. It's kind of a unique idea. So, all right, that's going to do it for us down here on the coast of Oregon. We'll be on the road heading home. Before we get there, jump out for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Well, there you go, Tommy. Little broodstock action. Now, I mean, honestly, as you observed in the video, we didn't contribute any fish to the broodstock program this year. Yeah. Last year, however, we did. We were successful, but we took home some decent hatchery fish, and I'm telling you, there was quite a bit of pressure on the river, and we still found a good number of fish and a bonus coho. Who would have thought? Mid-January, bonus coho. So
what's kind of the self-managed demarcation line for what you put into that broodstock program, into that box? I mean, is it kind of like
that? Well, so we did catch a couple wild fish. They were a little on the smaller side. I think you kind of want to be in that mid-teen range. Okay. You know, a little bigger genetic pool you're pulling from, because and I think Kyle mentioned it at one point there. They're looking per month. They're going to take so many pair, maybe 18 pair in January, 18 pair in February, might be down to 9 pair or so in March. Okay. April, again, they'll take another collection. But the guides all work collectively, and kind of, you know, they're building the future program. Right. So you want a bunch of 6-pound fish, or you want to get those nice mid-teeners. Last year we dumped that buck in there. It's probably a solid 14, 15-pound fish. Awesome. Which is a respectable steelhead in any rights. And if you're building a broodstock program, you know, you can be selective like that. Might as well take the bigger gene pool for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. The other interesting thing, when you think about broodstock, where you are catching fish via hook and line and entering them into a program, those fish are biters. When you spawn fish collectively in a hatchery. In other words, these fish come in through the gate, they get spawned, right? And then you rear those fish and you release them, and then fishermen are fishing, and you're basically pulling the biters out of the returning fish. Yeah, you're going to get some stingy fish in there. Okay, and then you're going to start collecting all these fish, and the reason they're up there in the hatchery is because they weren't interested in biting nothing. There's some science to back up the fact that, you know, now we're producing generations of non-biting fish. Well, I'm like, fish need to eat, especially steelhead. They're not going to die after spawning, you know. So, but in the wild anyway. So, but yeah, it was a great trip. Once again, you know, just shows you the advantages at times of broodstocking and hatchery programs working collectively to provide great opportunity for recreational anglers. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's a good time. All right, we'll jump out for a quick break. We come back. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna really dig into some stuff now. This is really why we got Brian here. You thought his information earlier was fantastic. Wait till we start trying to dial down on all these firearm bills that are being introduced in legislation as we speak right now. So don't go anywhere. More with Brian Blake right here in studio. We come back. Fish Hunt Northwest. Allied boats are built by West Coast fishermen for West Coast fishermen. Deep V 21-degree dead rise at the transom guarantees a smooth ride no matter the conditions. Allied offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Allied boats range from 19 to 32 foot in length, so no matter what type of heavy gauge boat you are looking for, we have it for you. All of our Corsair 21 foot and larger designs come standard with reverse chine that is welded inside and out with no extrusions below the waterline, so that you will never have to worry about corrosion problems down the road. Get out on the water today in a boat that you can trust and enjoy with Allied Boats. Contact us at Allied Boats today to learn much more about our incredible fishing machines.
New days, new beginnings, new friends, new loves, new dreams, new goals, new scenery, new job. No matter what the next chapter holds, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate will be there to help you find the new that's right for your lifestyle at any stage of your life. Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. Expect better.
Here we go.
Hey, welcome back in studio here. Dwayne England, Tommy Donlan, of course, our in-studio guests, former State Representative Brian Blake. And we keep asking you back because that head of yours is so filled with knowledge, we can't just expect you to sit home and keep it all to yourself. So
there you go.
Yeah, hey, so, you know, when you were a State Representative, you were involved quite a bit with some of the House bills that would come across and come out of, or try to come out of committee, and were drafted by some of your constituents, you know, as it would weigh on guns and, you know, gun safety and just the whole gamut, right? And we've sat here the last several years and just watched a number of these bills come and go, and things are introduced at the state legislature. We're just like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me, because at the end of the day, for law-abiding citizens like us, and who enjoy the freedoms and the rights and the privileges of having firearms and use for what it is we use them for, i.e. hunting, some hobby shooting, and, you know, the ability to self-load and whatever, you know, those are rights that are given to us, or that we have a right to have. And for persons to sit in Olympia and write bills to try and take some of that away from us, to no fault of our own, just does not sit well.
Yeah.
At all. And so they may think on the surface they're writing this stuff and they try to sell it to the public. Hey, it's going to make the streets safer. Hey, we're going to get the guns out of the hands of the criminals. Hey, we're going to, you know, if we do away with this type of mechanism or this action on this particular rifle or this suppressor, whatever it is, it's the betterment for all. And at the end of the day, that particular action also is in this gun or that gun that I use. for hunting big game or shooting my shotgun, whatever it is, there's crossover. And that's why we wanted you in here tonight, is because that crossover affects us, who again are law-abiding citizens that just want to have our guns to go hunting and do our thing, and do no harm to anybody. But if for some reason in Olympia, we can't see it that way. Now, the first handful of bills, I kind of ran through a bunch of them. The other reason I want you here is, look, I'm not exactly the smartest guy on the planet, but I don't think I'm in the category of one of the dumbest. But when I read through this stuff, it's very confusing. The language, how it's written, how it's drafted, how it progresses through there, the things they interject, I'm just like, what does this mean, right? So part of it is I read through a number of the House bills, 1901, 1618, a bunch of numbers thrown out there. Most of them seem to have to do with gun zone laws. You can have concealed carry, but you're not permitted to bring a gun into this particular type of building. You're not allowed to bring this gun into this particular zone. We all know how well gun-free zones work.
Right.
I mean, if you're a bad guy and you read a gun-free zone, I mean, has it really helped anything? Does you as a legislator, has putting a sign up anywhere in public society where it says gun-free zone, does that ever serve a positive purpose?
I don't think so. I think, and I've been willing, with some caveats, to accept some of those things if they will accept the responsibility of my safety and the liability of that. If once they take responsibility for my safety away from me, and give me the ability to store my 642 Airweight Smith while I go into their zone, and if they accept responsibility if I'm hurt, while they're responsible for my safety, and they'll compensate my family if I get killed, I guess I can accept that. I don't think it's particularly productive.
Right.
But for years, you're not supposed to have a gun in the post office when I go to my post office box to grab my mail.
Right.
So am I supposed to leave it on the seat of my car or under the seat of my car, or while I go in there and out? That's not good either. And so if I'm going somewhere where I can't possess, I think they have an obligation to provide lockable storage.
Yeah.
And accept liability for my safety.
I would love to believe that they would do that, but we know that absolutely is not going to happen. I mean, if you look at society today, and I was just talking about this on my personal Facebook page, you look at what's going on. I could just recount in the past couple days what's happened, what I've seen. We went to Safelite to have the windshield repaired in our Subaru, replaced. And as I'm sitting there, there was a gathering of tweakers in the parking lot. There was like 8 tweakers. They were all standing there. And then all of a sudden, it was like they broke a huddle, and they all started walking the parking lot. It was like the Walking Dead.
You said they designed to play.
It was like they designed to play. This guy went that guy, and now I'm sitting there in my truck, waiting for Justine's Subaru to be done. And I've got one going by the right side of my truck, one going by the left side, one behind me. And I'm waiting for my wife to come out and get in her car, right? Yeah. And I think of that. I go to LA Fitness, okay? Let me tell you what, LA Fitness this morning, nobody showed up to enter, to unlock the building. A patron unlocked LA Fitness so we could get in.
What?
Yes.
How does that work?
Oh, and by the way, the bus stop on the street right in front of LA Fitness had a barrel fire going right underneath the awning of the bus stop.
What is going on?
The flame was 3 foot high.
Oh.
So you're telling me that you're worried about me, the law-abiding citizen that I am, having a magazine that has a capacity over 17 rounds. That's Senate Bill 5078. Okay, you're joking, right? To me, this bill is just their chance to get their foot in the door to say, 17 is too much. It should be 12, right? And how did they come up with 17? Right? And then it's like, well, California does 10. We should be like them. They're very they're very progressive.
Yeah, they're doing great things.
So what do you make of this, banning magazines over 17 rounds? What is your thought?
Yeah, I'm opposed to that. I've always been opposed to that. I think what we're talking about is standard capacity magazines. And I brought some props here.
Okay.
These are two of the exact same magazine. The exact same, they function the same way. I can switch the ammo in this one to this one and vice versa. This is a 20-round magazine. This would be illegal.
With what ammo is in it right now?
And 223.
Is you got 223 in there, and it's a 20-round magazine.
Same magazine.
Yep.
In 458 SOCOM for an AR-style rifle.
Yep.
Is a 7-round magazine. So.
So which is it?
Is it a 20-round magazine,
right,
or is it a 7-round magazine?
Right.
And here we have a 30-round magazine.
Okay.
Same exact magazine is a 10-round magazine.
Depending on
you got
the load.
458 SOCOM in that one, then you got 223.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm a police officer and this bill is being passed into law, how am I going to know whether you're a law-abiding citizen or not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And what's the purpose? So if I and I read into that, it's like, well, it's been proven on some of these mass shootings that the would-be perp having to reload more frequently gives probable victims more time for escape. I'm like, really? That's where we're going? Because I can pop a clip out of a gun and jam another one and then continue shooting within 5 to 10 seconds. And that's slow, right?
Yeah.
So really, I mean, when you drill down on this, it's like, what's the intent? What are the intent of some of these bills? Because they certainly aren't drafted for the safety of us.
Right.
You know, the fact that you can't take a registered, holstered, concealed carry permitted firearm into a post office, okay? And then it's been proven time and time again that when the would-be shooter comes into any building and nobody else has anything in there to return fire, they just go for it, man. Yeah. There's nothing stopping them. Police, and now in today's society, police is how many minutes away until they get a reasonable response and can intervene. So
right.
In comparison, it's been proven time and time again, and there's no disputing this at the state level legislation. They can beat up on this all day long. In any instance where there has been a person, a good citizen in there, a patron, what have you, somebody pulls a gun, starts shooting, they pull a gun, start shooting, and subdue that person, take them out, or that individual then flees. Far less compromised individuals, far less carnage has been weighed, right? But they won't talk about this. They don't want to recognize the fact that persons, law-abiding citizens, permitted for concealed carry, permitted to have firearms in their vehicle, what have you, have intervened time and time again and saved persons' lives.
Yeah.
Whereas when you remove that ability to protect ourselves, bad things happen to a lot of very good people. So, but that's not the intent of some of these bills. Here's where we're at, obviously, because we're talking hunting and fishing. That stuff community-wise is important, and why they want to continue with these restriction zones and stuff, I don't understand. I wanted to throw that at you because I want to ask you quite blank, has those gun-free zones ever saved anybody? No, right? Doesn't make a difference. You're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. It doesn't make a difference.
I think it creates more risk.
It does create more risk, yeah. So really what it comes down to, Tommy had already mentioned it there on 5078, some of these bills being introduced cross over into what it is we like to do, hunting, shooting at the range, the option and the right to load our own ammo, whatever it is. But 5217, semi-automatic firearms ban. Semi-automatic firearms ban. It lists a host of things there.
Yeah. Yeah, it just blows me away. We were joking about social media, and just last week, I think, on a local Facebook page up the Wishkah Valley, folks said, "Did you hear that shooting Sunday morning?" Yeah, I heard that, and it was duck hunters. And she said, "No." She said it was clearly a semi-automatic, which everybody knows is illegal. and it's like, hello.
I can point to two of them right behind me, right, in a pump. So
it's just crazy so creating a list of banned firearms. Now there's a list.
It was extensive.
And it's extensive.
Yeah.
And lists are made to be added to.
Right.
That's right. Well, and this is just giving the government a reason to come into your home for whatever reason they deem possible because all of a sudden they've created this list, they've created all these rules, and now you've broken one of them, right? Which, if 5217, the semi-auto firearms ban, were to pass, that would include rifles under the length of 30 inches overall. Not only that, it would include suppressors, flash guards, any kind of eliminator, hider, any kind of suppressor, silencer, or anything of that nature. And this just blows my mind away. In addition to that, a muzzle brake, okay? Basically a recoil compensator. Something
you have a muzzle brake on a few of yours?
On all my Magnums. They all have muzzle brakes, right?
Yep.
And it's like, you know, in my mind, the last time I checked, gangbangers weren't rolling down the street with muzzle brakes, you know, on their Tech 9s or whatnot.
Yep.
And this, you know, muzzle brakes are something that you put on a large rifle, or if you're getting a young individual into hunting, right, and you don't want them to be shy of the recoil, but you want to get them in the game. You put a brake on the rifle, they're a lot more comfortable shooting it, right? So now you're taking an opportunity away from the youth. But in terms of protecting the public, this does absolutely nothing. So it really just blows my mind, the list of things that they've come up with. It's just to say, hey, if you own a gun, you might as well quit now. That's really what this bill says.
Isn't this common practice, Brian? They draft these bills, and you admittedly said, you know, you've drafted a few bad ones over the, you know, poorly written, I think you said, right? Semi-automatic firearms ban. And as Tommy alluded to, they list all these other things, and they're talking barrel lengths in there and suppressors and flash, and just they go down this list, muzzle brake, the whole deal. They just throw it all in there, right? If this thing passes, it's all inclusive. There's no picking and choosing. It's like, yep, it's all in there. You can no longer have that, Mr. Donlin. That's illegal.
Yeah.
And again, it serves no purpose in you know, the good of the public. It's not going to protect anybody from anything. A friend of mine on here is a state trooper. He says, look, the 10 years with the capacity restrictions during the Brady bill had zero effect on crime.
Right.
He's talking from a law officer's perspective, right? So, you know, some of these things get implemented, and like, is there any follow-up? You never hear about, oh, you know, thank goodness this law was in place because we saved 1,200 lives this year. There's none of that. It doesn't exist. They can't pull up that data to say it's done any good. You know, again, the gun-free zone, it tells criminals, hey, pretty much if, you know, all these law-abiding citizens are doing what they're supposed to do, nobody in this church is going to have a gun. Nobody in this federal building is going to have a gun. Nobody is going to.
They did the ammo tax in Seattle.
Yeah.
Homicides have went up. Now, is there a direct correlation? Probably not.
Sure.
They certainly didn't go down.
No, that's a good point.
That's because they have an open-air drug trade in the middle of downtown Seattle.
So, Senate Bill 5568 concerning preemption of municipal law. First of all, for those that don't know, explain what preemption is, and with them going after this, what kind of change that would make?
Yeah, I think it was in the 80s that the legislature said in the arena of firearms law, the legislature controls, and so your local laws can be as strict as state law, but they can't be more strict, and that has served us well. I personally believe your civil rights should be the same whether you're in Spokane, Seattle, Aberdeen, Shelton, and I think having in that arena, when you're talking about a constitutional liberty, it should be consistent, and so I'm just hope that one does not pass. It would be a morass and a real problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine how that would look? Like, okay, you get into the Seattle city limits, and now concealed carry is illegal. So you've got to, disarm yourself. Make sure you put the gun into a locked gun case. Unload it. Put the ammo somewhere else in the vehicle, and now you can enter Seattle, and then you leave. Right, and you go to the east side, and you get to Ellensburg, and you're like, oh, okay, I can wear my concealed carry weapon now again.
Where you probably don't need it, and where you do need it, they handcuff you and stuff you and say, you
Ellensburg's a pretty rough town.
Oh yeah. Bunch of cowboys there. So, well, you know, that just that helps clear the air a little bit on some of these gun bills. I'm very curious if any of these will pass again. They seem to get kind of drugged down in the process.
It's really hard to tell. And I haven't been following these on the floor schedule to see how they're going, and I'm worried. The upside is that it's an election year, and I'm hopeful that they will not go crazy with gun bills in an election year.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point, because folks remember when they go to the ballot, say, oh yeah, that's right, he or she voted for this. So, gotcha. Well, hey, appreciate that insight. Kind of helps clear it up for a lot of folks tuning in here, because again, it's very confusing for a lot of us to truly understand and grasp. I look at any of them that are introduced, how is that going to trickle over and affect us in this environment here, right? And of course, out there in the public sector for what's going on and the lawlessness and the lack of police enforcement right now. We're all kind of up against it. So appreciate you weighing in on that, Brian. All right, we're going to jump out for a quick break. We're going to come back, close out the show. Got a few points of reference and events you definitely need to attend. Don't go anywhere. Stick through the break. We'll be back right here, Fish on Northwest. Defiance boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Defiance boats come standard with large fish boxes that are fully insulated so that you can ice your fish properly all day. Defiance boats feature a 21 to 22 degree dead rise at the transom and a large reverse chine for incredible handling and stability offshore. Defiance boats are foam flotation filled and unsinkable for the ultimate in safety while fishing offshore. Defiance boats feature fuel-efficient hull designs with large fuel tank capacity so that you can have maximum fuel range for making long offshore runs completely safe and affordable. All Defiance boats come standard with self-bailing decks for improved safety while at sea. Defiance Boat offers all our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Defiance Boats for all your boating needs, and let us help you get out on the water.
Today, the need for quality private security services is at an all-time high. Contract Security Service provides day-to-day peace of mind as they protect people and property. Phoenix Protective Corporation strives for excellence. Above all, Phoenix security officers are managed by leaders trained to inspire and encourage greatness. Here at Phoenix, we provide service for multiple state and federal contracts, with service ranging from uniform, patrol, alarm monitoring, canine detection, executive protection, as well as investigative work. We here at Phoenix are looking for highly motivated individuals to apply. If you're a vet, retired or active, and would like to work with us, please apply.
Welcome back in studio here to Wayne England, Tommy Dolan, and our in-studio guest, Brian Blake. Hey, want to thank you again for hanging out.
Always an exciting evening.
Yeah, always full of good information coming from you. That's why we really appreciate you taking the time. You're a busy guy. If you're not building some type of waterfowl decoy, you're out killing birds. So,
brand hunting this weekend.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to have to try one of them. I have yet to shoot a brant or taste it. So
yeah, they're a wonderful bird.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Awesome. Hey, want to remind folks here before we go, Sportsman Show is coming up. Starting as early as next week. Setup day is Tuesday, Tommy.
I know, it's coming up quick.
Don't worry, we got it.
You got it? Good.
Because
well, you look like you need a workout.
Yeah,
so
I know. I'm withering away here. Yes, booth 659 or thereabouts. We're negotiating the terms of the agreement between Max Lure and us, exactly which corner we will occupy. But we will be in the main Showplex building in around 659, 657. Tons of swag. We got so much new gear coming out. To include big beer mugs, coffee mugs, all kinds of really great, fantastic clothing items. Lots of selection for the ladies as well. Shing's on top of this. It's her program. So trust me, she's taking care of the ladies as well. Jinglin' Jigs hats and sweatshirts, hoodies and stuff will be there. You guys have been asking for those. Jordan's been busy getting his logos printed up and getting the print shop to work on all that. So we got tons of stuff coming. We'll be there all week. Going to have a prize wheel to spin. Buy a certain item, spin the wheel, win a free prize. Tons of stuff to give away. We'll be selling Fisherman's Brew coffee. We'll be giving away coffee. Just going to be a great time. Yes, mask mandates will probably still be in place, but you know what? We didn't have a show last year. Come on down, support all the vendors, help support us so we can continue to do what it is we love to do. And the Fish on Northwest Allied Mustang P21 hardtop will be on display, Tommy.
Yeah, yours.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the boat will be there at the Defiance tent.
Yeah.
You can check out the Allied series, and of course Defiance will be there with some Defiance boats, and Stephen will be over there in the main showplex with us, displaying some of the newer Arima models. Yep. I think that 19-foot hardtop Yellowtail will be there. That thing's
I love that boat.
Isn't that a great little boat?
I love that little boat.
If I had to cruise around Puget Sound or something all day long.
I was just going to say, like, when you get on Dwayne's boat, make sure you wear, muddy boots. Preferably if you just got done cleaning a pig pen.
Oh, good idea.
Or maybe changing the oil.
Gutting a deer, whatever.
A big diesel gutting a deer or anything like that. It'd be good.
Let's get her dirty. Anyway, so yes, we'll be down there. Lots to see and do. Come hang out. We'll have the tub chairs sitting in the booth just to sit down and talk with folks, man. Enjoy it.
So are we doing the coffee mug? You buy a coffee mug, you get a cup of Fisherman's Brew. Are we doing that?
Yeah, we're going to fill it up for you before you walk away.
Right.
You're going to drink fresh Fisherman's Brew out of the gate.
Oh, yeah.
For those that are of age and aren't driving, we might even give you a little shot of schnapps in there or something. So we'll see. Anyway, also, Tommy, we got the boat show going on.
We do. We got the boat show coming up February 4th, Friday, to February 12th, which is a Saturday.
Yep.
Yours truly is going to be giving 4 seminars. So I got the first one coming up February 4th, Friday at 7 p.m., and that's how to find tuna, right? And I wanted to do this seminar. It's a brand new seminar, but the tuna runs the last 2 years have just been a big challenge. It's been a big ocean, a lot of confused water in terms of water temperature and chlorophyll. And so I thought that people would really value from just learning how to find tuna by looking at data.
It's a good call.
And so that's, that's what that's going to be about. In that seminar, I'm also going to talk about how we found the fish to win the Washington Tuna Classic. So don't miss that one. That's the first one, February 4th. Second one, February 9th, Wednesday at 5 p.m. And this is a new seminar as well. And what I wanted to do is really focus on not just talking about catching halibut and lingcod, because I think that's pretty easy. Most people can do it. But I wanted to talk about really the tactics to catch the larger fish, right?
Kokanee.
And no.
Kokanee.
Halibut and lingcod. And so this is just really focused on how to catch large fish. And then the third one, also February 9th, right afterwards, 6 p.m., tuna tactics and tactical. So this is when I bring in all my tackle boxes, basically open them up and say, this is the gear that I use, this is how I use it, this is why I use it. That's going to be a good one. That's also a new one as well. And then the last one, Saturday, February 12th, 5 p.m., top bets for catching coastal king salmon.
Nice.
So, we did a lot of good king fishing this last summer, and we learned some stuff. So I wanted to roll that into a new seminar and present that. So 4 seminars coming up, Seattle Boat Show. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be good. And, the doors are back open, and folks, boots on the ground, get to walk through, check everything out. Attendance is highly recommended because that's how you get hands-on approach on this stuff. Some of the boat show seminars and things you'll be able to get online afterwards if they buy the package deal,
if they buy the full package, they've got unlimited access to.
So look into that. Go to Seattle Boat Show, seattleboatshow.com, check all that out, and they'll have tons of info to continue the online experience as well as the show up there and enjoy the day. Absolutely. So booth 569, not 659. Apparently I'm dyslexic tonight.
5 or 6 or 9er.
Yes, 5 or 6 or 9er. 5 or 6 or 9er. See us there, Puyallup Sportsman Show. And we will not have a show next Thursday, Tommy, because we're going to be down there at the booth, and we're going to do some live streaming from the booth. That will be our interaction via social media throughout the week, but we'll focus in on Thursday when Tommy and I are both there that evening and give you guys an update. So appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Heck of a crowd. Lots of good content. Brian, can't thank you enough. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And
one last thing before we go out. The Archery World booth will be at the show as well.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes, Archery World will be just across the way, and they're bringing in their full length, I think it's like a 30-foot trailer, indoor shooting.
That's awesome.
So you can take bows that they have there on display. They'll size you up and figure out what your draw length is and let you guys actually take some of those bows and put them to work right there in the show complex, inside the shooting trailer, there with Archery World. Come on down there and talk with the guys at Archery World. They're going to have a ton of stuff going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, I believe that is where we're at.
That is where we're at.
We're signing off. Appreciate it, everybody. Come see us down there next week. We'll be there all week. And enjoy this weather. Get out, go after some fish, do a little hunting, do something before January is over. Have a great week.